Hey, what's going on, guys? Smurf here with another video, and today we're going to be going over the Bladedancer Hunter. Now, he's one of those, like, up-close and personal run-and-gun classes. He's really right up my alley. If you're a blink shotgun noob like I am, and you just, like, totally just annihilating people and tricking them, and doing all these misdirects and stuff like that, this is really the class for you. It's a little bit difficult to kind of learn exactly how to play it, so I'm going to be giving you guys a nice PvP build, as well as some tips and tricks and just some insight on how to get the most kills out of this class, alright? So why don't we just jump right into it. Now, first thing we got going on is, I don't really care what weapons you're using. As far as exotics go, I think that the best Bladedancer exotic that you can have is probably the Mask of the Third Man, just because you get the Arcblade attack to use less super energy. Anything that helps your super in a big way is gonna help. Is gonna be what you want in the Crucible. Uh, Other ones that if you don't have this one, I had Crest of Alpha Lupi, and that one's good for trials, I guess. But I like Mask more. So, and then the Bones of Eo, whatever. Yeah, if you don't have Mask of the Third Man, try to get that. But let's get into the build. All right, we have our Flux Grenade, Skip, and Arcbolt Grenade. Now, as far as these three grenades go, I don't really have a preference for these ones. This is one of the only classes where I find myself kind of just like swapping in and out based on what I'm trying to do. Uh, the Flux Grenade is like the Warlock's Fusion Grenade, except it's not as sticky. Maybe it's happened to me like 10, 15 times where I've hit the guy like in the face and the grenade like legit bounces off him. So it's kind of bullshit. So I don't really stick with that because it's kind of frustrating. I usually use the Skip Grenade or the Arc Bolt. The Skip is cool because it fires like projectiles that chase the enemy, just like the Axiom Bolt. And the Arc Bolt is like, it's like chain lightning. So if you hit one person, if there's like a group of enemies stacked up, it'll damage all of them because it'll bounce off. So that one's pretty good. But they're both kind of situational, and it's based on your preference. I like to go with the Skip grade more often than not. As far as the jump goes, blink. Learn how to blink. If you don't know how to blink yet, or if you're not comfortable with it, it's whatever. I'd probably go with the higher jump over the control, just because I'd rather be able to jump higher, because I can only control pretty well. But normally you're going to want to blink. Alright, Arcblade. You got your Showstopper, Razor's Edge, and Vanish. Now this is going to be based on what you're trying to do. Because Showstopper I'm not really using in the Crucible, because usually if you have Bladedancer, if you can do enough damage to just kind of wipe out everybody in the vicinity of you, kind of makes this talent pointless. Razor's Edge is a really good one because if you need to like close a really big gap or something like that, and like you're just getting mowed down, you can just throw out a Razor's Edge in front of you. It kind of throws like pretty much just like a wave that'll insta kill anybody in front of it. So it's kind of like what those little Cabal things throw at you, except it's a lot more deadly. Yeah, I like to do Razor's Edge, but if I'm not using that, I'm using Vanish, and that makes you totally disappear. It makes you invisible, and if you're invisible at any time in the Bladedancer's class, you don't show up on radar, and you can really fuck with people. That's why I like to use it. Not being on radar is the biggest thing, because a lot of people just kind of are always eyeing radar, and they're not really. Even though they can kind of, you're a bit visible. It's like shaky images, but just not being on radar is helpful. Okay, so that's why I kind of try to stick with it. Blink Strike. This is the best part about having a Bladedancer Hunter, besides the invisibility thing. But yeah, it's just like an extended range melee. It's a little bit further than the Warlocks, which is pretty cool. And it's like a lunge, and it's pretty much it does like 90% damage. So it's very, very good to have. Backstab. It's a little bit overkill because I mean you're not always going to be behind your enemies, so you're not benefiting from it every time you melee. So I don't really use it. Escape Artist is kind of cool because it makes you invisible on hit. So it's whatever. But your bread and butter is going to be Fast Twitch, just because it reduces the cooldown of Blink Strike, so that it says reduces the cooldown. There is no cooldown. It's probably about 2 seconds. Like it takes the hit before the kill even registers. I probably have my Blink Strike back on. It's so overpowered. I wouldn't be surprised if they made it a little bit slower in future patches. It's really fast. All right, whatever your preferences are for stats, up to you. Uh, for these middle ones, we got fleet-footed, quick draw, and shadowjack. Now, this one's going to be a little bit more up to you, because if you are messing around with the invisibility kind of stuff, like if you had vanish up and this talent over here, the stalker talent, then I would probably go shadowjack, because it increases all of your invisibility effects. It makes them last a lot longer. So, and it's a lot longer, so it's pretty useful. If you're not using either of these talents, you have fleet footed, which makes you run faster, extend your slide, or you have quick draw. I like this one just because it's like you have unlimited sprint, and then your agility doesn't even really matter that much. It makes it so you can just non-stop sprint the whole time. And then quick draw is just a lot of perks. A lot of weapon perks have quick draw already on them, so it's kind of like it's pretty fast. But like most of the time, you can have stuff that makes it so that you can just aim faster anyway. So I don't really use that one. So it would be between fleet-footed and shadowjack for me. But and then your last set of talents. These ones are very hard to choose from. If you're doing the invisibility route and you just want to mess with people and be invisible the whole time, you're going to go Stalker, because it makes it so that you gain invisibility after crouching. And it's pretty overpowered, because you can be in a firefight with somebody, turn the corner, and then crouch. And as long as it takes like maybe 3 full seconds, but as soon as you go invisible, like I said, you go off radar. They don't even know where you are, and if you go in like the cave or anything like that in Cauldron or anything like that, where it's already pretty dark, they can't see you at all. So it's pretty sweet. Encore and Hungering Blade. Encore makes your Arcblade last, or killing the enemy extends its duration. That one's a pretty sick talent, especially in PvE. PvP, it's pretty good too, because if you're getting like a quad kill, it's just going to last longer, and you could probably even get them after they respawn. It makes it it makes it a lot easier to get triple kills and stuff like that. Hungering Blade I think it's the best one, because it also affects your Blink Strike. It makes you immediately regenerate health. It's a pretty amazing talent to have, and if I'm not using the Stalker one, I'm probably going to go Hungering Blade, just because it makes it so that I can melee somebody. It's like having the Ram, basically, for Warlocks. It just gives you your health back immediately. So if you're not going invisibility, go Hungering Blade. Alright? So let's get into some gameplay, and I'll show you guys some tips. Alright, finally. I got a few tips for you today, guys, just as far as this class goes. And the first and most important one that I can talk to you guys about is invisibility. Now, the Bladedancer class is the only class in Destiny that can go invisible, and it's kind of important to realize that and know and understand what it means. So, what invisibility does is it takes you off the radar, and it kind of makes you see through. So it's really like once you go off radar, because a lot of people are just kind of like, they have their eyes glued to that mini map thing. So once you go off the radar, a lot of people will just kind of run past you. It's really easy to pick up some free kills. What you should know, like the more important thing to know about this invisibility thing, is that you're like, people can still fucking see you. You're not like totally invisible, so don't run around like you're just like, whoa, nobody can see me, because like everybody can see you. The only maps that it really works on that like people don't notice you are like dark maps like Anomaly and Cauldron, and just like things where you can kind of like hide in caves and stuff like that. Any other type of map like where the sun is out, like even in the shadows or whatever, people can see you. So just be aware of that and use it to your advantage. Alright, the next thing we're going to talk about is our Arcblade. Now this is the Bladedancer super, and it's one of the trickier supers in Destiny. It's really hard to kind of get to master and get really good at it, but once you do, it's like any other super. You can get 3, 4, 5 kills out of it even. So I would say that the most important thing to learn how to do with the Arcblade is to learn how to really close the gap on your enemies. A lot of people, I see it all the time, are just like, Bladedancer pops the super, and he's in a spot where there's already like 1 or 2 people shooting at him, and everybody can see you when you pop your super. You're like the center of attention. As soon as you change colors, everybody knows what's going on. So the trick is to kind of either pop your super beforehand and then kind of sneak around your opponents and then immediately close the gap on them, or just use whatever perk you have, whether it be the Razor's Edge or the Vanish or whatever it is, to kind of get the early kill on whoever is shooting at you before they can kill you, because you gotta know that you're not like a tank, you're not like the Sunsinger, you're not like a bullet sponge where you can take a lot of damage and still get a couple kills out of it. You have just as much health as you normally do, so just keep that in mind when you have your super up. Alright, and the last thing that we're going to talk about today is our Blink Strike. Now, this is your basic melee, your custom melee for the Bladedancer. So, if you have the Fast Twitch perk up, like I recommended in the build, then you just need to get in the mindset with this melee is that it's always going to be up. It's almost instant, like I said. It probably takes less than 2 seconds for it to come back up, and you're able to hit somebody from a distance for improved damage over and over again. So I think a lot of people kind of forget that, especially after playing the Warlock and the Titan classes, or even the Gunslinger, where you hit somebody, you throw your melee around, and then you have to wait like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or a minute for it to come back up. Just make sure that you know that it's available at all times, and feel free to spam it, because you can do a lot of damage with this, and you can hit people a lot faster because you're hitting them from further away. So know that it's going to be off cooldown almost instantly, and then also get used to kind of find the feel for the distance, just like how the Warlocks kind of have that extra like foot or two between them with their melees. You kind of have the same thing with this particular Hunter one. So find that sweet spot and get used to hitting people from that distance. Alright guys, that's it from me. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like it, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more Destiny content, as well as tips and tricks on new games. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave comments on the board. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But until then, I'll see you next time. Alright, peace.